General Skywalker, come in.
We read you, Rex. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Standing by. We were worried. You were off the scopes there for a moment.
A moment? We've been gone more than a moment, Rex.
Warthog, protect the gunships. I will take out the fighter.
Copy that, Commander. Have fun down there. Man down! Man down! General Kenobi, don't land! The zone is hot!
There's nowhere else to go! Move it, trooper! Come on, double time!
This point forward, we are entering uncharted territory.
Jedi, I have been waiting for you.
I am no Jedi.
Come on then, let's go! Go, go, go!
Hello and welcome to Clone Corner, a podcast about Star Wars The Clone Wars, currently streaming on Disney+. I'm Travis Fishburne.
And I'm Alex Brunel in hi-fi.
Nice. Sounds like you're in the room with
me. I broke out a microphone today. I know. This is a trick. We are social distancing over here. Mostly out of necessity. I'm in California, you're in Ohio. But
yeah,
that's also just what's going on. So when someone listens to this Clone Wars podcast in the future, know that right now, Travis and I are terrified. But still going to talk about the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Never since that episode where Dr. Vendy unleashed the Blue Shadow virus have I been more nervous.
The virus is liberated. You are doomed, young Jedi, along with the rest of the planet.
But we're not talking about that episode.
No, and we're also not talking about the episode of the Clerks cartoon that is an Outbreak parody, which I also watched recently.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Can the virus kill the Grimace? Nothing can kill the Grimace.
Who are you supposed to be?
I'm Big Mac, the beloved constable and best friend of Ronald McDonald. Now, about the virus.
Will this administration ever bring the Hamburglar to justice?
No. Yes. Look, does anyone have a question about the deadly virus that could kill us all?
Could the virus kill the Grimace?
Nothing can kill the Grimace. All right, we're done here.
But yeah, Unfinished Business, The Clone Wars.
Season 7, Episode 4, Unfinished Business.
Yeah, so the end of the first arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the end of the Bad Batch. And I think it was definitely the best episode of this arc.
Yeah, I agree. Its failings were failings that were set up by the rest of the way the whole rest of the arc was presented.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, like there's maybe like a little bit of emotional hangnails or just like stuff that was like moments that didn't really maybe get the attention that they needed. Mm-hmm. That being said, the Bad Batch finally got to really shine. Like we got to see them do some Bad Batchy stuff again.
Yeah, no, that's what I really liked about this was kind of seeing them all work and do their thing. Specifically, I think like Wrecker and Crosshair were the two that got to actually shine a little bit more because I think Tech has had some opportunity as well as Hunter.
Yeah, and Tech had a bit to do in this episode as well. Hunter not so much, but Tech for sure had a bit to do in this episode with basically just maintaining Echo and that whole thing. I actually really, really, like one of my favorite action sequences of the season so far is definitely like, Crosshair running up the hallway and then firing one shot and it just ricochets off of all these little mirrors he's set up.
Yeah. To
just take that one shot and take out a whole brigade of droids. That was really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that. I like this competition that he has going with Wrecker. It's very, in Lord of the Rings, Gimli and Legolas. They do that exact same thing.
Final count, 42.
42? Oh, that's not bad for a pointy-eared elvish princeling. I myself am sitting pretty on 43.
Oh, yeah. Totally. And like the really like it was nice to see the clones and the Jedi like really fully cooperating on an operation. Mm-hmm. That was cool.
Yeah, I was not expecting so much like Mace Windu and Obi-Wan in this episode.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And I have stuff to say about, I think there's a longer discussion to be had about how Anakin is in this episode, because Anakin does some interesting things in this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
That shade his character in a bit. But, it was really funny, like, Windu trying to, like, negotiate with the droids to surrender.
That, I thought, was going to lead up to... I thought for sure, I started to laugh when this happened because if you remember the Clone Wars micro series, there's a scene or there's an episode of that where there's a kid watching from a distance in a field and he sees Mace Windu take out like 1,000 battle droids in this huge ship. And I'm like, oh, this is referencing that. And then...
Yeah. Good point. I didn't think of that. That's one of the episodes of that show I remember most clearly. It's that and the Kit Fisto episode I remember most clearly from the micro series. But I like that moment. And it's very much a Mace Windu, like, kind of blinded Jedi kind of a thing. Like, it's like, you've killed 100,000 of these things. Like, why are you even trying to reason with these ones? When did it work before? Like,
why are you trying to show them mercy?
Right. Yeah. And it's like that. Yeah. That's the other thing. It's like, why are we still continuing to I'm going to just complain about the battle droids in like every episode, I guess. It's like, why are we still personifying these things? Like, why are they not just scrap piles? I
do not know.
There's what was it? Oh yeah. I'm in the, I need to pick it back up, but I liked in what I've read of Star Wars Aftermath. One of the characters in that has like a reprogrammed battle droid that's a security system, and like so it's like Bones. So they can be reprogrammed. We have that technology.
Yeah, I think that's it's become a little bit of a, I don't want to say a trope, but it's happened a few times in the canon now. The Mr. Bones from the Aftermath, and then I know in the Lego Freemaker Chronicles. I watched a few episodes of that with Harrison, and there was a reprogrammed B1 battle droid with that crew as well. I'm like, oh, it's just a thing that they're doing a lot now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there would be, like, it would be really interesting to maybe, like, I've read a lot of comic books and a few short stories that are just about droids and R2 and 3PO and their friends and these things. And I always like that stuff. I always like the secret adventures of droids. Like, there's those episodes of Clone Wars too that are just like these droid arcs. And in the reviews, like, they're not well reviewed arcs. Like, they're not fan favorite episodes. But I really like those episodes actually. I really like dumb droid hijinks. Like, there's an episode, maybe we talked about it. There's like an episode where like R2 and 3PO are just trying to get somewhere, and they stop on this planet. Yeah. They just go on these adventures.
Yeah, I think there's a season 4, like a 2-episode arc like that, where they go and they're giants, and there's a bunch of tiny people.
It's like an iteration of Gulliver's Travels, and then they like wind up just kind of like accidentally reorganizing that entire society.
Yeah,
and then they just leave, and like that kind of thing is really funny to me. So like I would actually be super interested in seeing, like, I don't know what the deal is with droids and sentience. Like, I don't know if droids are truly sentient, like the one, like 3PO, or if there's a hindrance there from them being considered like a Johnny 5, like I Am Alive kind of thing, if we're going to be able to mix franchises here.
Maybe once they can start telling jokes. Like Johnny 5.
Yeah, is that the thing? Yeah.
I remember that being the thing in the movie, is when he could tell the joke.
Is he laughing?
Yeah! Yeah! And the joke wasn't even that funny, and I think I screwed up the punchline.
Whatever God wants, he keeps.
Well, you look kind of shook up.
Yeah, it's really true. Spontaneous emotional response.
I am alive, yes?
Yes!
Yeah, that's right. Quarantine's a good excuse to rewatch the Short Circuit movies, maybe.
Especially Short Circuit 2.
Oh yeah, Fisher Stevens in brownface.
Number Johnny 5. Are you completely operational? 100% intact?
Perfectly KO.
Yeah.
The Los Locos chant. Is that what you remember?
Los locos kick your ass! Los locos kick your face! Los locos kick your balls into outer space!
Oh, I was just thinking of the end where he's like turned into gold.
Oh, he's gold-plated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he becomes a citizen.
Yeah.
He gets his citizenship. 1989. And yeah, Fisher Stevens is locked in a freezer and has to peck out "Help Me, Rhonda" on a but yeah, I would really be interested in seeing a short story or comic series about like kind of a liberated battle droid, like a freed. This is a bad comparison. This is such a white person thing to say. No, I'm not going to say freed slave, but like, a liberated droid. A liberated droid is in no way like a freed slave, but a liberated droid.
Yeah, you could say like an unassimilated Borg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I would be very interested in seeing that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you? I have more stuff I can get to, but I feel like I've been talking for a while.
Oh no, that's good. The droid stuff too. Hunter says it in this episode. He says something that Sarah had said just a few minutes before. She's like, "Oh, I kind of feel bad for him," and then Hunter like literally says like, while Wrecker's doing his thing, like, "I honestly feel bad for those droids."
Honestly, feel bad for those droids.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny scene too.
And I liked...
And Sarah said that too, like,
yeah.
I feel bad for all this.
I was like, well...
See, that's what the mistake they get by anthropomorphizing these stupid droids.
Yeah, and I thought, like, there was one of the funniest droid things in the series that I can remember is when a grenade gets thrown onto one of them and it sticks, and he just says, "Sticky."
Yes, it's like, yes, thank you for that keen observation. And these are, I mean, I guess, I'm sorry, like every episode we have to allow me to like keep processing the stupidity of the battle droids. Like, I guess there's something to be said for like, they're so stupid and they're that way on purpose because they're not really trying to win a war. They're just trying to, maintain a war. I don't know.
Yeah, they can't make them too efficient. They have to just make enough of them, hordes of numbers to overtake some systems and give the Jedi, I don't want to say somewhat of a challenge, but at least give them a workout, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's chat about Anakin a bit and Trench. Like we saw some dark Anakin, and not only was it like dark Anakin, it was like cavalier dark Anakin.
Oh,
like he just did not care.
No, they made it like a comical moment at the end where he was like, "Bye."
I was baffled by that. I was baffled by that choice of tone at the end of that scene.
Yeah, because it should have been one of those dark, ominous things.
Yeah, for me, that's like a real foreshadowing of like the person that he becomes when he goes and murders the younglings. Where he's just like, I have a laser sword and you have something I want. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
he does a similar thing with Poggle the Lesser, like in season 2, where he's interrogating him and he chokes him. And it's a very...
Yeah.
And the tone in that scene, I think, was a little more appropriate, and it was dark and foreboding.
Totally
but this
agree.
one was, it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, because the beginning of this scene, they do kind of play the tone of like, oh, Anakin's going to get dark, and we should be a little scared. And at the end, Trench is just like falling over backwards, dying, and he's just like, thanks for the information, buddy.
Admiral, it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was another thing that made Sarah sad because she really liked Trench.
Yeah, and I was also just marveling, like I think we saw like physically more of Trench than we got to see in the most recent episodes in this season. And and like just physically, like we saw more of his body and him moving around and stuff. And I started to really like fixate on him, like, so this is a spider.
Yeah.
And he has the 8 legs. And the legs have fingers?
Yeah.
Just
also,
yeah, that's all.
Half of them are cybernetic now, and the cybernetic half uses a cane. All right.
I didn't even notice that. The cybernetic half uses the cane. That's hilarious. That's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking, like, it just, like, I was imagining looking at a real tarantula and then noticing that every one of its 8 legs had 3 fingers. And then just, like, being terrified by the idea of an actual tarantula that had 24, like, tiny little fingers on the ends of its legs.
Oh, yeah. It'd be real interesting to see this character rendered in, like, a more real life.
Yeah, would be. What else we got?
Well, we got, I thought it was cool that Echo plugged in to things and kind of acted like R2 in this episode.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that also.
Yeah, it was very neat to see him like plug into things and be able to instantly translate. Because usually what happens is R2 plugs into things and then C3PO tells the audience what he's saying. But it was interesting to see him plug into things and instantly be able to tell you what's going on.
Yeah. And that's such a useful thing. And, you know, that feeds off into him going into the Bad Batch at the end of the episode, which was the only, that was the emotional beat I didn't think worked in the episode, was just like, that's a big decision. Also like, Echo's recovery continues to just like astound me.
Yeah, he's ready for battle.
But just, yeah, that scene, I don't know. I felt like I wanted a little bit more weight from both Echo and Rex in that scene.
Yeah, there could have been a little bit something more.
But you know, I like this idea of Echo going with the Misfit clones.
Yeah, no, I like that too.
But yeah, him plugging directly in, I liked a lot, and the tension that they built up a little bit, like, of is he really on our side, or is he, you know, is he still under the influence of the programming that he was under before?
Yeah.
That tension worked for me.
It's good.
You know, I genuinely didn't know. I was like, oh, he's sending all the droids to Windu? Like, that doesn't make sense. You know, so like, yeah, that worked for me, that little distrusty.
Yeah, and then he shuts him down with like a...
with that feedback pulse.
And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that was cool.
Why? Kind of like episode 1 style. And I'm like, why don't they do this more often now that they have Echo?
Oh, I know. Like that, like in and like that was even happening in the first episode with the Bad Batch, right? Like we had Hunter like zapping with the stickies and like sending these little electromagnetic pulses through the whole battalions and stuff. And I'm like, why? Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, why don't we just have like
EMPs all the time?
Yeah, like big, you know, Republic gunships that just have like electricity bombs. Like it just ends the robots.
You don't have to worry about any civilians.
Right. Like, why isn't this the principal means of robot control?
I don't know.
But again, I'm not a military man. I am not a Star Wars military man. I am not a politician. I am just a nerd with ideas about robots. What else we got here? We have a bit of a...
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh no! Yeah. I was just gonna say we have a bit of a mirror of Return of the Jedi in the way that they infiltrate the command ship.
Yeah.
You know, disguising themselves as they're supposed to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Just that. What did I interrupt?
Oh, I was just gonna say just the animation in general, which we'll probably just talk about. It just looked really, really good in this episode when they were infiltrating the dreadnought. And the attack on that, one of the shots I just instantly recognized was when the Y-Wings came out, or the precursors to Y-Wings.
The early Y-Wings, yeah.
And they're going after it. There's a shot in there that looks... It's a direct pull from some Ralph McQuarrie art of the Y-Wings attacking the Death Star.
Cool. I'll have to reference that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that bit a lot, and I liked when Wrecker did get to blow everything up at the end and everything exploded, there was these kind of beautiful rainbow explosions for, reasons. I have to imagine that I have to imagine that if we ask some designer over at Clone Wars, it'd be like, well, X, Y, and Z, hence rainbows.
We started making rainbow explosions in Rebels with Sabine, and we just decided to keep doing that.
And it looks great. Because the show can get, the show has its color palettes and it sticks to those in a really effective way. But then when we have these bursts of color, I really, really like it. I mean, that was part of the design aspect I liked so much on the flying battle droids, whatever their model number is, that was in
Vulture droids. No.
Yeah, the Vulture droids. Yeah. No, not the Vulture droids. The ones from 2 episodes ago, on the wings of Credax, and the ones those ones, the skinny ones with the wings.
Yeah,
and they're the shimmery kind of they look like shimmery bug wings, kind of. Like the way a dragonfly's wings shimmer. I was like, yeah, that's some nice pops of color in this episode.
Yeah,
I like that. We're closer and closer to Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we hit a lot of the points. I liked the episode a lot. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a new arc starring Ahsoka starting next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, as am I.
Which I'm actually super looking forward to, because I haven't gotten to Ahsoka in Rebels yet, because I need to pick Rebels back up. So I'm happy to plug in more of Ahsoka's story before I actually get to her coming up in Rebels.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for you because it'll be more chronological.
Yeah, something we're not always afforded.
Yeah, because the last time Sarah and I actually just watched the Ahsoka being framed arc, which is her last arc in the Clone Wars prior to this, and kind of in preparation for these new episodes, because I'm like, her only reference with her is really Rebels. So I'm like,
right.
Should probably know a little bit more about what got her into this situation. So no, and those episodes are really effective, and they kept her on the edge of her seat, I think. And
yeah.
Well, speaking of Ahsoka, I'm curious what your thoughts on her are, because I know you really like Shaak Ti. And they're the same race.
I do really like Shaak Ti. I mean, my thoughts on... I mean, I like Ahsoka a lot. I think... Or Ahsoka. Ahsoka?
Ahsoka.
Why am I... Mm-hmm. It is Ahsoka. I see these things. I don't pronounce these things that often. I like her a lot as a character. It's one of these... I had to get over my feelings about just her existence overall. It's it felt like one of those things where it's none of the movies addressed that at some point Anakin trained a Jedi. That didn't just get referenced, and it's we can assume, we can buy that, and then we can just say, oh, but he did, and we just didn't know about it because it wasn't relevant to the plot. But that seems like
something it's that they would reference.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's just the way Star Wars is, where parts of the story have been told, and then you go back into the timeline of when those stories have been told, and you just need more characters to populate that, and then you have to retcon and say, oh yeah, Ahsoka existed when Luke had his lightsaber. She was part of the story when Luke first holds the lightsaber in Obi-Wan's hut. But as a character, I like her a lot. I like that she's that kind of free-thinking Jedi, except she doesn't go in the bad direction like Dooku.
Yes.
She's I don't understand why you guys are being this way, because I think you should be better. Not I think you should have more power.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, and the reason she leaves the Jedi is because of the system failed her, which is and she just sees the flaws in it and is like, all right, I'm done with this.
And that's absolutely an early indication of the stuff that basically doomed the galaxy. You know, like they can't even. The fact that they would turn like that on her, who had been, you know, fought so closely and so nobly.
Yeah,
I don't know. She's a great Jedi, and she's got her stuff under control. So I really liked that she left. I can strongly identify with a character who is like, no, like I agree with you guys conceptually, but just like the way you're doing it is not correct, and I can't be a part of it. I respect that a lot, and I respect that Star Wars putting that character in there, where there's a character that's able to walk away from the Jedi Order, and that we still have respect for, and not like, you know, we're not afraid of Dooku, but you know, not somebody who's going into the bad space, the dark side.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, as
Plus
a
the
character,
two lightsabers are just badass.
Yeah. And then I like her lightsabers in Rebels because they're white and they are not a specific color, which I think are cool.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, you were going to say something.
Oh, yeah. As a character, when she was introduced, I absolutely hated her. She was my least favorite character. Because
it was tough to get through, like in the movie in the first season.
Yeah, of that same thing, like, well, this character never existed before, and her writing and portrayal were so just forced and whiny, and like the Sky Guy and Snips, and I'm like, oh, this is I like the Anakin portrayal here, but the Ahsoka character is very hard to swallow. And as the series went on, she kind of like grows on you. And then by the time those like 4 episodes wrap up season 5, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know I was this emotionally invested in this character until now.
Right. Yeah. And I do really like, you know, I think it's also really cool. Like I didn't really realize this, and I've only been realizing it more as I don't know, Ahsoka kind of ages as a character, just not as a creation. I mean, not as a character.
Mm-hmm.
You know how long Star Wars fans have to live with her, and you kind of begin to realize like, oh, so this was like this Jedi was like something that young women latched onto.
Yeah. Before Rey,
which is a thing that I never really considered. Yeah, like she's this really interesting female Jedi role model. And again, I think is a really strong role model. Ultimately, does not start out that way, but ultimately gets there. And I'm glad that her relevance to everything is kind of continued with her coming back, not only in Rebels but also now in Clone Wars, and her voice being present in Rise of Skywalker. I would love to see like an adult Ahsoka movie. I liked Shaak Ti so much, partially because of her episodes on the micro series. I liked her in the micro series a lot, but just the design of that species as an adult figure was so beautiful in a practical way in those 3 movies.
Yeah.
Even though she wasn't in it that much, she just looked really cool, and she was very stoic. And like she always struck me as a badass. So like I don't know. I support live action Ahsoka so we can see more cool what's their species name? They're not Twi'leks. Togrutan. Yeah, I would love to see more live action adult Togrutans.
Yeah, I was thinking about Shaak Ti and how do we know what her actual canon death is, because she died several times. in terms of like, there was a deleted Revenge of the Sith scene where Grievous kills her,
right?
And then you fight her in the Force Unleashed video game because they still had not like officially killed her in the canon. And then I think there was a book. I don't know.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, she was killed by Anakin while meditating in the Jedi Temple during the night of Order 66.
Well, that's kind of boring compared to the other ones.
Yeah, it says excuse me. The Jedi Temple was attacked by Skywalker. T recorded a message on a holocron urging whoever found the message to continue the legacy of the Force and not to let the Purge be the end of the Jedi. As she meditated during the attack, T was killed by Vader in accordance with Yoda's visions. And there's a clip of that in an episode of Clone Wars, Voices, one of those Yoda episodes. From toward the end. That's episode... Season 6, episode 11. Yeah, Yoda has a vision of her death.
Well, that's interesting.
There is a section, though, in the behind-the-scenes area of the article of deleted scenes and canonical fate. And it talks about these deleted scenes and, like, this other stuff that happened, these other ideas of how Shakti is dead. And it says... T's canonical death was finally confirmed as being killed by Darth Vader during Order 66 in the 2016 reference book Star Wars Galactic Atlas.
Oh.
Which is just some map book?
That's interesting.
It's a weird place to confirm such information, but here's like the scanned image. She's such a snarly badass. I mean, like, I like how she's animated in the Clone Wars, but the way her eyes kind of get embiggened in the same way that, like, everybody's eyes do in these character designs, I really like in the physical character, like, how small the eyes kind of seem within the white around them.
Yeah, because in the Clone Wars micro series, I remember her eyes... like they're just like all black.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got those little dot eyes.
Yep.
Because that's how she looks like as a performer in makeup. That's how she looks.
Yeah.
And I like that look a lot. But I mean, like they in the cartoon she looks more like Ahsoka does, really.
Yeah. I would say so. She's the first person to like encounter Grievous.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I remember Grievous being such a cool presence and character in that micro series.
You are surrounded. Your army is decimated. Make peace with the Force now. For this is your final hour. But know that I, General Grievous, am not completely without mercy. I will grant you a warrior's death. Prepare.
Yeah. Yeah,
because he was
that micro series made him interesting. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch the micro series till after I saw the film. So, when I saw the film, I was like, why does this thing exist? And then I saw he was established in the TV show. Yeah, wow, her article is much longer on the Legends section of Wikipedia.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Not the canon section. Oh, sigh.
Guess we'll be looking forward to seeing more of Togrutan's next episode, which is Season 7, Episode 5, Gone with a Trace.
With a Trace. That's interesting. I'm going to not look up what the heck that might mean, but it's an interesting title.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will easily be able to accomplish this podcast because we have, we have the most to do and the least to do of our adult lives now in the USA. We all need to figure out how to deal with that for ourselves. But I do strongly hope that anyone listening to this, including in dealing with it for themselves, is staying inside as much as possible, disinfecting the heck out of stuff. I'm personally, I live in Los Angeles. Anytime I have to go outside, I'm putting on a pair of disposable gloves.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
And if I had been smarter about buying a face mask before all this hit, I would have a face mask too. But
yeah.
Even though I feel like that's like a face mask is like super precautionary and is more important if you are sick rather than worried about getting sick. Yeah. But any kind of barrier is good.
Yeah, I saw some of those face masks that you can wear that are not the disposable ones, and I'm like, oh, I've got a few of those. They're I bought them as balaclavas, which are like special face masks like I wear under my armor when I'm trooping, and I'm like, oh, I guess I can use that.
Yeah, that's good. And to be clear, you're talking about when you are in a 501st event and you're in your stormtrooper gear.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have scout trooper gear. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, I've got.
I always really like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also got some stormtrooper. I've got a stormtrooper kit that I have not ever had the time to really work on and build, but I might now.
So I actually, we can. This is off topic of Clone Wars, but 501st. That's Clone Wars. So all these, I have this question. I could easily look up the answer, but I've wondered this for years. These outfits that you guys wear are like incredible. They're like movie perfect looking outfits. And like, I have never learned where these pieces come from. Where do these materials come from? Is someone in the community making these? Are you guys all figuring it out yourselves and like making your own outfits? Like you're saying you have a kit. Yeah. Like who makes the kit?
Is it an official kit thing? I have. That's an actual official one, which is weird because they've never been officially available until it was 2015 in this company called Anivos, which is like a big costuming company. They do like more than just Star Wars now. They do Star Trek and I think Marvel and a few different things, but they make replica helmets and these kits and everything. And I remember being at Star Wars Celebration that year and seeing all these things on display and being like, oh, I've always been interested in the Stormtrooper one. Let me buy this. And so they send you the kit, and it's basically a bunch of like vacuum sealed plastic parts that you have to like cut and put together and shape to your body and paint. And
so it is still very DIY once you get the raw material.
Oh yeah. But this Biker Scout and pretty much any costume, any 501st costume prior to when Anivos started to like officially mass produce these things. Yeah. You had to like ask the right people. I don't know how else to describe this, but like
right. But like, there's like somebody within the community who has the know-how and material to do that. And you kind of just like, it's just kind of a low-key direct communication kind of a thing and not a mass production thing. Interesting.
Yeah. I inquired and was sent to somebody who have, a bunch of things up on display on a website, and they don't ever say that they sell things. It's just like, oh, look at these things that we make that, we can put on display. And then you have to send them a personal message saying, hey, I'm interested in getting this commissioned.
Right.
They ask you some specific questions, and
because just as a legal matter, they can't, like, a third party cannot just be selling Imperial armor.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I've always, I always really liked that you went Scout Trooper because that was the first time I guess we had Snow Troopers, but I always thought the Scout Trooper was actually the coolest kind of design out of any of them. I like that they have like the little like the little, kind of baseball cap built into the helmet. And I always really liked the design of the Scout.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
It's, you'll see it in spoilers and Rebels. You'll see some characters be actually able to lift it up the way that you can in real life. And I'm like, oh, we've never seen that. No, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
You do see somebody do that in Return of the Jedi. You don't see them lift it up, but you see a Biker Scout with it kind of lifted at one point.
Oh, yeah. I think I recall what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah. No, I've really always loved the design of that. I love the mobility that they have. Stormtroopers are a little limited in what they can do, whereas Biker Scouts can sit down. They can potentially
they just sit down.
Yeah, they can sit down. You'll notice in Rogue One, there's a stormtrooper that's kind of sitting down, and it's very awkward because I'm like, yeah, you can't do that in that armor.
I did not know that about stormtrooper armor, that you can't just properly sit down. Interesting.
No. Yeah, because you've got armor everywhere, whereas a biker scout, you've got like chest and arm armor, and then some on the legs, but they make it simple for you to be able to sit, because it's the whole point.
It's designed that way because the scout bikes and everything, speeders, etc. Yeah, interesting. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, that's a very cool bit of Star Wars ephemera that I would. I mean, like, it's one of those things, like, I probably would not go out to 501st events, like, you know, that's, like, a thing. I don't know. It's not, doesn't seem like that's for me, but if someone were to, like, gift me a complete... Yeah, I believe that. I believe it's great. Like, you know, everybody... All the stories I've heard about the 501st is just, like, all you guys are just, like, the coolest. You know? Good history of community service amongst everybody and all these things.
And they got to get used in the Mandalorian in the final, like, 2 episodes.
I did hear about that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they were like, we can't produce enough of these. Somebody call the 501st.
Yeah.
Which is so great. Like, that's so great. And wasn't it like, it remind me, but wasn't there a fan who did like a fan build of R2 that then went on to work on like the sequel trilogy? That happened too, right?
Yeah, that happened as well. The Kathleen Kennedy found these guys at Star Wars Celebration Europe, the R2 builders. They're like the droid builder equivalent of the 501st. And she found these guys, I think they're from England, who built, an R2 that she really loved and ended up putting him in the sequels.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah, because every time I think like George Lucas went to look at those things at celebration events, he's always so impressed. He's like, wow, these things that people make can do a lot of the things better that we're trying to get them to do in the movies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what you get when it's the difference between like somebody who's just trying to figure out how to make the best working R2 versus somebody who's trying to figure out R2 and all the other things they have to do to make their creations work in the movie. Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's a very cool thing. Well, yeah, I don't know if I have any more Star Wars thoughts. Just hope that everyone stays safe and keep watching Star Wars.
There's plenty of Clone Wars and Rebels and other things on Disney Plus for everyone to watch.
Yeah. Now is a great time to watch Star Wars cartoons. There's no better time.
Yeah. Don't ignore what's going on outside, but
absolutely do not ignore what's going on.
Don't let it
please pay attention to
drive
what's
you to
going
despair. And
yeah, staying keeping a certain amount of your focus on things that bring you true joy and happiness and can reconnect you to the way we enjoy our daily lives when we're not under a worldwide crisis kind of a situation. The closer we can stay connected to that while maintaining our connection to reality, which is of paramount importance right now, that every person maintains a connection to reality. And that's easier said than done for so many.
Until next week, everybody stay safe, and we will see you again in just a few days when we are reviewing Season 7, Episode 5, Gone Without a Trace.
Yes.
You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher, anywhere where you find your podcasts, in the Who Watches feed alongside Star Trek Picard. And just please subscribe, leave us reviews, find us on YouTube. You can find Alex and myself on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the show on Facebook. And anything else to add?
I can't think of anything. Yeah, I think we covered it.
Cool.
Stay safe, everybody. Yeah. All humans are important.
Yes. And until next time, begun. The end of the Clone Wars has.
Where's the antidote, Fendi?
You mistake my role, Jedi. My job was to manufacture a plague, not to cure it.
What was that?
Virus leak. Get to the safe room. Come on!